All right, and we're recording. Hey, John, thanks for taking some time to talk to my students and the internet out there. If you just wouldn't mind starting with an introduction, who are you? When did you graduate Ranken, and what are you doing?
All right, my name's John. I graduated Ranken in 2013, I believe. I started off at Enterprise as actually a support engineer on the application security side, and then now I'm a software engineer for the Appian team, the rideshare commute team. Um, and
You
I mean
said a lot, you said a
that's
lot there, and I'm trying to take some notes. So, 2013
right.
graduate, you work at Enterprise. Now, there's different Enterprise holdings and Rent-A-Car.
We're Enterprise Holdings, so we're the parent company of Rent-A-Car. And so we have a few locations. I work at our Lakeside location out off Ballin, Page Drive.
Cool.
Corporate's in Clayton, but I like to dress casual, so I chose this location.
And you're a software engineer is your current title?
Yep.
And what are some of the languages that you're currently working with on the job?
So I do Appian, which is Appian Cell. Appian's a low-code platform that we have here in-house. And then I do Java, SQL. I do Oracle and MySQL, actually, depending on the job. And sometimes I'll mess around with JavaScript as well, depending
Okay.
on the need.
Was Enterprise your first job after Rankin?
No, Brown Shoe was actually I was a contractor at Brown Shoe for a little bit.
Brown Shoe in Clayton?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I was there for about 3 months, and then they got rid of the contractors. And there I did C# and ASP.NET at
Okay.
that point, and
Nice.
then and then Enterprise has been mainly just Java, Appian and SQL.
Gotcha. So Brown Shoe, did you get that like right out of Rankin, or were you looking for a while, or how did that work?
Yeah, no, yeah. So I got that about maybe 3, 4 months out of Rankin. It took a minute to find someone to give me a shot. I was working with a great recruiter. She kept tailoring my resume in different ways, sending it out. She was really doing a great job trying to get me in. So she got me in there. 3 months later or so, they said, okay, we don't need contractors anymore. So they let us go. And then she went back to work and got me on at Enterprise here.
Okay. And so essentially you have been working since 2013. It took a little bit of hard work to get your foot in the door, and
Yeah, but once I'm
even
there, yeah.
continued hard work to land that second position. I imagine it was easier after you had the first one.
Right, slightly easier, yeah. Even though I was interviewing for like support engineer / Java position with Enterprise, different language, but they liked me and they gave me a shot, and I've been here since 2014.
Nice, nice.
So
And like you said, you've kind of seen some promotion throughout Enterprise. You started at one level, and you've been promoted a few different job titles. Is that right?
yeah, been promoted, and like Enterprise is great about promoting internally. You do a good job, they see you work hard, and they definitely reward you for your efforts.
Nice. So what kind of software projects have you worked on? Have you had any cool like internal or external facing apps that you've worked on?
Yeah, a couple actually. Well, now I was on a project to where so I'm rideshare commute, right? So essentially we try to join strangers or coworkers together to ride in the same van pools, carpooling, right? So I've been dealing with that project. We actually finished it. Now we're on to something else.
What's
But
that called? What's that project called?
so it's like commute. So it's like carpooling. We call it commute internally. But Tesla uses us, Apple, Google, all the big companies, Microsoft. They use us to where their employees will ride in a van together to work. If you're on the same route, say you're coming from Rankin to Enterprise here, Evan, and then maybe you and 2 or 3 of your coworkers, you guys don't want to always gas driving, right? Driving in separate cars. Well, if you're on the same route, coordinator driver will pick you up.
Yeah, I get it.
You're ready to go.
Yeah.
And then you just go back. Somebody will record your trips, and then we handled all the invoices and the whole 9 yards.
So if I had a company that wanted to use this app, I'm sure I have to pay enterprise for it. In other words, it's not an app that I can go as a person and just download to my phone.
Yeah, no, you can download it and stuff, but you have to sign up, right? You would get matched to a van pool if one exists, or if you wanted to create your own, if you had certain riders that you just wanted in your van
All right, I got
pool,
my phone. What's the app name?
You can look at Rideshare.
It's just called Rideshare. So if I'm going to the Google Play Store, I'm searching for Rideshare. What you're telling me is that you've worked on. Wait a minute. When I search for Rideshare, I see Lyft, I see Uber. What's the one you've worked on?
Commute with Rideshare.
Commute with Rideshare.
Commute with Enterprise. Sorry, I'm looking it up now. It's been a while since I've been on 3 different projects since then. Here it is.
Commute with Enterprise.
Yeah, there it is. .com.
Okay.
It's got 4.6 stars.
Sorry about that.
You got 4.6 stars and 5,000 downloads.
Yep. We handle. I think currently right now we're sitting somewhere around 10,000 van pools or so that are out there right now running. That people are sharing rides with.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it says 5,000 plus, so obviously you can have a lot more than 5,000 downloads with 5,000 plus. Well, that's cool, man.
So it's great. It's fantastic. I love my team. It's everyone is always working hard, and we also play hard, right? Like breaks, certain breaks, we'll play some ping pong, we'll hang out, we'll kind of reset our minds, kind of like Google, right? You just walk around or do what you want and then come back to your job.
So what's a day working or being in your shoes like for your 9 to 5?
Well, I don't really work 9 to 5. We're very flexible here. So some days I'll start at 6, some days I'll start at 8, some days I'll start at 7. It just really depends on the day, right? If I have something going on in the morning, I'll fluctuate my job. But so on average, I'll get to work about 7:30. We started hand grinding our coffees and AeroPressing our coffees now. So we got tired of spending money at Starbucks. So we bought some stuff for work, our own coffee machines and stuff for work. But we'll make our coffees. We'll have our stand-ups. So stand-ups will just consist of what you're working on that day, tickets going across the Kanban board, Jira. If you're not familiar with Jira, that's a big one. You should get used to that one. And then once we're done with our stand-ups of what we're working on, we typically start whatever project we're on. We'll start working on that or handle some support issues if there's a lot of tickets that come in. There may be an issue with a rider can't be added to a van pool, right? For example, what we just talked about. I would go in, or one of my teammates would go in and, try to solve that issue. Why can't they? Are they missing information, or, did it not belong with that van pool at all? Who knows?
Yeah.
Typically what we do.
So you basically summarize what I'm hearing. You show up on an average day about 7:30. You drink some good coffee, and then you start working. You have a meeting, a stand-up, and then talk about what you're working on, and then you start working on a ticket system.
Yeah, ticket system, or like I said, whatever store procedures, anything that we're building out at that point in time, we will do.
Well, I guess what I was referring to, the ticket system, like you get your new work, it comes in on a ticket. Is that right?
Right. Now it depends, right? So our Java projects or our Appian projects, we put up ourselves on the Jira board what needs to be done.
On the Jira board, right?
Yeah, we work with the business, but if a user is having an issue, they would submit a ticket to our team, and then we also have an incident queue to where we would monitor and say, hey, okay, this ticket is escalated, we got to get this done now, or something like that.
Yeah, got it. So how many hours a day on average are you either looking at or writing code?
It depends on the day, really. Some days it's more meeting heavy, some days it's not. So let's say probably the average weekday, I'll probably write code about 60, 70% of the time. maybe meetings 30% on average. Some days are 50-50 meeting to coding, and it just really depends. But I'm also, to point out your question earlier too, my friend owns a dental business off of 40 in Hampton, Southampton Dental. He has asked me to build him a website, a couple of different websites. So I'm using SvelteKit, Node, JavaScript, building him with that SvelteKit framework. I'm building him a dental website on the side for free, for fun, because he's my friend. So I do have that going on as well.
Wow, I guess that's a nice friendship to have. I mean, man.
Well, he takes care of me in the dental office, so it's only fair.
Quid pro. Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. There you go.
Pretty much how it is. But yeah, no, it's a good opportunity though. If you pick up a project, you can learn something new, and and that will help you grow in the industry as well.
So let's talk about that. With you mentioned that you had to fight a little bit. You had to work pretty hard to get your foot in the door. And I think that's an important message to deliver, in the sense that there's no golden ticket single solution. Now, a degree is an important thing for a lot of people to help you get your foot in the door.
Right.
But there's no guarantees in life, right? So let's, what tips would you have for new students to land their first position? What should they do?
Well, I would highly suggest, meetup groups, starting to network. I love to network. I talk to the principal over at Edward Jones right now. Him and I talk about once a week or once every other week. I talk, so there's a Java user meetup group. There's a JavaScript meetup group. I would highly recommend going to those or connecting online. I know with COVID, it's kind of messed things up a little bit, but network, get your name out there.
So meetup.com is what you're referring to here?
Yeah. You go on there, you can see a bunch of different meetup groups and when they meet, and get added to the list, right?
No, I agree with you 100% on that. And in fact, I believe I've already mentioned this to my class. If not, I definitely have recommended it in the past. But to your credit, John, if I recommend, hey guys, go check up a meetup group, and I've probably recommended that to your class and every class before, it's a rare thing that people actually take you up on that advice. And to your credit, you did do that. I remember you'd go to Starbucks, you'd go to the library, you'd go to these different coding meetups for the whole point of networking.
That's it. I've made a lot of great contacts that way too. So if for some reason Enterprise ever went under, I would be 100% reaching out to everybody I knew to try to get me in somewhere. Yeah. But I have no plans to leave Enterprise. I just want to point that out. But no, but I would definitely do that. Do some coding projects on your own or follow some tutorials. Push it up to GitHub so that employers can view your projects, right? They want to see kind of like what you've done or what maybe a high level understanding of things. Best how to interview you or place you, within the company if they choose to hire you.
Yeah, so networking is important, and in addition to your school projects, a little bit of freelance on the side, code, to show that you're not just the average student, because the average student has to pass, right? If you're an average student, you have to pass the class, so it's a requirement for everybody. So that's the expectation. Right. Being a graduate is the expectation. Going a little bit above and beyond is what you're saying.
Yes, I highly recommend that, especially trying to get your foot in the door. It shows that you want to learn. It shows you have drive, and companies like that, right? They want to see if you're a good culture fit. So like, how's your personality? Are you very shy? Are you outgoing? Are you mean? A good culture fit is everything nowadays to a company. If you're very outgoing, that's fantastic. You're personable, that's great. Hey, John, so I highly recommend that. Yep.
I'm gonna pause real quick. Sorry. Okay, we're back. And so, John, the next question is kind of a fun one, at least for me, and because a lot of students come in and they say, "Hey, I want to get into IT because of the money," and And while there is good money, I don't know whether that's a good reason or not to get into it, but let's just talk about expectations, right? So what's a realistic expectation in 2022, salary-wise? What do you see out there in the industry? What's been your experience?
So I think, expectation, you shouldn't do it for the money. You should do it because you like it, right? The money will come over time. I think the average salary, if I'm not mistaken, is around 60,000 maybe. I think that's what I started at in 2014. And I think fresh out of college, I think that's still about the case, or even more depending on what you go into, right? So I would just do it because you love it, because it's challenging. It's always changing. So you're always changing, right? Trying to keep up with the new standards of all the languages or platforms, whatever you're using. So that's pretty much been my experience. Roughly, I'd say a conservative number would be like 60K starting on average, which is still great, right? That's better than what most people make.
Out of school, yeah, if you're able to land, I mean, that's especially after a 2 year, yeah.
Right, and I would like to point out too, like just to get back to our previous question, two other things I would really recommend you guys going for is kind of learning a little bit Postman, right? How to make API calls using Postman.
We do that in our third semester.
You do?
Yep.
Okay. And then Git. You should, just the basics of Git,
We do that in our first, second, third, and fourth semester.
Okay.
All right, we're on the same page.
But that's very important
Cool.
here. So
Cool.
all right, and then sorry about that.
No, nothing to be sorry about. It's appreciated.
And then AWS is big too. I don't know if you guys are doing AWS, but we're using it. Every team is moving to the cloud for the most part.
Absolutely. So. Yeah, we are an Amazon Web Services partner, and so we do have access to teach their curriculum, and we're rolling it into our curriculum literally this year for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. It's fantastic.
So, so you've been in the industry for several years now, and a question that often comes up is around the concept of burnout. And do you see yourself lasting in this industry? Are you going to retire in this industry? What's the workload expectation? In other words, do you see yourself ever burning out, or have you burnt out?
No, I don't think I've burned out. Honestly, with the team I'm on, I don't ever see that at all. There's some great people, but no, I see myself retiring in the industry. A question that comes up a lot, so especially in my job, we have what's called team builder, right? So every so often, all the managers will get together and say, how are your employees doing, or do they want to try something new? They want to be a manager, or do they want to move from Java to C# or Python, right? So they get together and do that. A question that comes up a lot for all of us really is this: our managers would say, "Hey, how are you doing? Do you want to stay in your current role? Do you want to move somewhere? You want to try to move somewhere else?" So management, for example, I mentioned my manager is always like, "Hey, John, you want to try for management, or do you want to stay where you're at?" And I always say I'd stay where I'm at. I really like it. I like the challenge. I like the way everything changes. So there's always inventing something that may not be there, or all that's it's fantastic to me. So
we've talked about that with this class, which is the idea of you can start out as a developer and writing code, and some might view that as like the holy grail, like the end of the line. But really, that's just a starting point, and there's so many launching points from there that you could get into, be it project management or various kinds of managers and software architect, and all these launching points as you start writing code. And then there's a lot of different ways you could go.
Right, yeah, especially with enterprise, right? You can shadow another team for a week, right? So if you decide, hey, I want to know what this team does, they'll work it out to where you can shadow that team for a week. You'll see exactly what they do exactly what they do to see if you might like that better. Once you're inside, the sky's the limit.
Nice.
It's just getting your foot in the door.
Do you have any other tips or advice or guidance for someone's fresh new starting out?
Nope. Outside, like I said, network. Do anything that you can to get your name out there so that they know who you are, right? Oh, I met him. He's very nice. Why not? Let's get him in for an interview, right? Because at the end, it doesn't matter if you have a bachelor's, a master's, an associate's. It's what you know, really.
Yeah.
And if we're competing with those guys, at least off the start to get our foot in the door, we got to let them know who we are, that we're interested, that we have drive, we're motivated.
Well, and I'm just going to add something that you said earlier, networking and projects.
Yeah, projects is key.
Projects is key. You want to separate yourself from someone with a bachelor's, you better have a good portfolio.
That's right.
And so the networking's a big thing there, but the portfolio, a lot of times graduates will go out and I'm reiterating what you said, but I'm just from my point of view, just to add to that, graduates will go out and they'll say, well, Mr. G or Evan, hey, I've been looking for a month and I can't find a job. And my first question is always, well, let's see your portfolio and what do you have on it?
Right.
And if I find a portfolio with broken links and bad demos and, well, how hard are you really trying if you don't even have demonstrations of your work out there that are working? Therefore, are you really not only doing the software side, but also the soft skills side of the networking and the hard work that is to go to these meetups and talk to strangers and that kind of stuff?
No, I completely agree. And there's, if you're putting a portfolio out there because you really want a job in this field, and something's not working, ask for help. We're very big on that. If you need help, reach out to anyone and someone will help you.
Yeah. Thanks for those. Thanks for those answers. I'm going to open it up to the class. Yes.
So I was just going to ask if you could repeat the languages that you're currently using, because I had a question about one of them. I forgot which one it was.
Appian, which is a low-code platform.
That's the one I had a question about. What is that one about?
So it's a low-code platform where it's kind of like you can it's like a visual type platform. You can manipulate in many different ways, drag and drop nodes to a canvas, and then write your code behind that to make it do what you want. If at a high level, that's what it is. Appian's very big on the East and West Coast. St. Louis, we have a few teams here, but it's at a few different companies. It's not as big, but Appian is growing. Mm-hmm. It's essentially, they're trying to take the place, I guess, not really take the place of Java, but it's just they're trying to build a platform up for all the companies to use.
I'm just throwing the website, appian.com.
Yep.
Well, it was just interesting the way you described it as low code. I've never heard a language be described like that before.
What do you mean by low code?
So low code is essentially like where, you're like Java, you manipulate a lot of things in a lot of different ways. Appian does too, but you're also doing a lot of things visually, like using canvases to drop nodes on for, like you're writing a script task or you're doing a process model. You essentially you just drop nodes onto that canvas, and then you click inside of those nodes and manipulate your data there.
Yeah.
So it's a different platform.
And
now,
I shouldn't interrupt. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I apologize. I know Appian's not very big here, so I figured you would have probably never heard of it. But maybe one day in the future, like I know I'm really busy next week, but maybe in a few weeks I'll get together with Evan and I can come in and kind of do a small demo for you guys on Appian and kind of how it works. Because I'm actually building something out for that now for other teams here at EHI.
Yeah, man, you're always welcome in the classroom, and you know that. I'm just gonna add one. A lot of times you'll hear things referred to as high or low level, and so I don't think this is exactly that, but a high level coding language versus a low level coding language. A lot of times when you hear low level coding language, we talked about in the early days of computing, it was all ones and zeros. And so the closer a language is to ones and zeros, that's considered low-level language. The more abstraction you have, the higher level it is. The more words that perform functions, and literally the less that you have to do to perform that function is considered a higher level code, right? So, something like we looked at Scratch earlier today, where you're just dragging and dropping blocks, and that's for kids, that in a lot of ways is considered a high level coding language, because it's really not anything close to low level ones and zero bits.
Right.
Yeah. Vinny.
When you were in Mr. G's class back in 2013, what were all the languages you were learning?
What languages? You know what? I want to talk about one more thing. What languages did you learn at Ranken? And I want to talk about one other thing. Go ahead.
What language did I learn at Ranken?
Yeah.
I believe we had, we did Java, we did HTML, XHTML, and CSS, I believe. And then I believe my final project in that class was actually an HTML5 project, if I'm not mistaken. And then, we had JavaScript, jQuery, SQL. We did SQL.
You did some .NET, yeah? C#,
Yeah,
or
we
no?
did that. We did C#. Yeah, we did C# and .NET. And then I want to say that maybe that's it. That's high level. I can't recall every language, but I'm pretty sure that may have been about it.
Here's
Java,
my next
obviously, as well.
question, because I remember this answer. How many hours did you work? How many hours per week did you work while you were in school, and how hard was it to balance that work-life balance, work-school balance?
My situation was different. Sorry, I've been good. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. No, my situation was different than most, because when I was at Ranken, I have a son. I had a son at that time too, and I still do, obviously. But so my situation was different. So I was at Ranken about 8 to 5 almost every day. And then I would come home, eat, try to do some classwork. Didn't always get it done, be honest with you, but I got most of the time, I got it done at some point. And then I would work at night. So I wouldn't get home. I got home maybe 2, 3, 4 in the morning sometime. I'd get up at 6, 7 and start my day again, drive to Ranken and do his class again.
Yeah.
So it was very challenging, but I had to drive to get it done, right? 21 credit hours a semester for 2 years straight, and then, working, making, I have to make money to feed, children. And so I just made it a point to get it done to improve my life, because you always want, you want to improve your life, make it better. You don't want to get stuck.
That's what I remember about you, John. I mean, you had a work ethic. You showed up every day. You might have bags that under your eyes that went to the floor. Sometimes you might not have slept. You're on like your 8th energy drink.
Yeah, that was big energy.
And I'm always going, John, what are you doing? You got to get sleep. And you're going, there's no time. You grinded, man. You worked hard.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I did. I wasn't always the best student, but I did try a lot, and I did try hard. And it was all thanks to your teaching, though, too. When you have a great teacher, guys, you wish, like, sometimes I didn't listen, and I should have, to Evan, right? But you guys should always listen to him, because
see, they know better. They've had me for a semester. They know that you're just full of it right now.
No, seriously, you should, though. Like, he's got a way of teaching you guys to make you successable. So as I always told my other classmates and things like that, and I still talk to like Matt Winters sometimes and stuff. And
we'll have to get him on an interview.
You should. Yeah, and I always tell him, like if Evan can make me successful, he can make anyone successful.
Well, you made yourself successful. I play a very, very, very small role, so thank you for that, though.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you had a few classmates that were, that had their own success stories, and that's kind of cool to see, like Matt and Andrew and a few others I remember. Yeah. So, all right. Other questions? Yep.
There was that framework you said you were using to create a website for your friend. What was that?
What were you using to create the website for your friend?
Yeah, so SvelteKit framework. So Svelte and SvelteKit it's kind of like a newer framework. SvelteKit's a newer framework, and it's really fast. You guys should really look into that. That's growing code. So you got React, you got SvelteKit. I just chose SvelteKit because it was new and I want to learn a new platform. So so I use that. It's very nice. And once the website is up and going, I'll shoot you guys a link and you can take a look at it.
Okay. Cool.
So I'm just waiting on him to give me content mainly. That's the whole thing about these side projects is like, you need the content from the employer, whoever you're helping out, to put on the page.
Yeah, that's one thing that has not changed about web development is the slowest part is to get content from the client. Like that's always the holdup. That hasn't changed as long as I've been doing it.
Right.
Right?
What was from the moment that you got out of Ranken to where you are now, what was your biggest learning curve?
Biggest learning curve from out of Ranken till now.
Oh, that's there's a big learning curve no matter what you do. So fresh out of college, you're gonna have a learning curve on any job you start, because some things are the same, some things are different. I think honestly, my biggest learning curve was the Appian platform because I had no idea what it was. A friend of mine is on the team, and he was like, "Hey, John, you want to try something new? We have an opening." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And then after a week of him talking to me every day over lunch, I was like, "All right, you know what? I'll give it a shot. It's something new. Add to your portfolio," and and that was big. So yeah, I think that was it. Just because Appian has a different way of doing things. So that was I think that was my biggest learning curve as far as platform and language goes.
Cool. Thanks, John. We got another question?
Yep.
Yeah, so really quick, because a lot of the people we talk to, they've had multiple jobs, they job hop a lot. Was there something that specifically kept you at Enterprise? Did you just like the culture? Or?
Yeah, the culture is very, very big here. It's very nice. I love it. Like I said, they're very flexible, family-oriented company. That's what I really like about Enterprise. They try to treat their employees as best as they can, and I couldn't ask for more. Since I'm more of a family man, I'd like to stay in one place, right? So Enterprise is where it's at. I don't think I'll ever leave Enterprise, to be honest, unless they went under. But the people who job hop, in my opinion, are the contractors, right? Because they want to make more money, so they'll hop job to job because they don't have to carry insurance and things like that. So they'll look around for more money. But also that could also leave a bad taste in companies' mouths, in my opinion. So I typically just try to stay with one company.
So the stability of a good company.
The stability is key for me, and that's it. The money, like I said, the money will come. I just I like to just stay in one place.
Cool. Yeah.
So does he come into the office every day?
Do you go into the office every day, or what's up with that?
So when COVID hit, we were all work from home because they shut the buildings down. And now that they opened up the office, we have an option. We can come in every day. We can work from home every day, or we can split it up. Come in the office a day or 2 days a week and work from home, or vice versa. Me, because of children, I prefer to come in the office. So I'll typically go. That sounded bad, but you guys know it.
Look, the parents in here we all are going, yep.
No, I love my daughter. She's 3, and so she's a very big daddy mode. Nobody else matters. So if she's home, there's work is obsolete. So I'll come in about 3 days a week, 4 days a week, and I'll work from home 1 as of right now. But I like to network too, right? As earlier, so I come in the office because I like to talk to people. I like to network, see people. It's a different feeling.
Yeah, as nice as the technology is to have you on this screen, it'd be nicer to be in person. There's a connection that you have in person that you don't get on Teams.
That is right, 100%.
Yeah. And I know they're looking to change that with metaverse and all this kind of crud, but we'll see where that goes.
Right.
I listened to a Mark Zuckerberg interview, and they're like, yeah, you should feel when someone moves. And I don't need to get into it, You need to, so I guess that's where this is heading. Is there's going to be more sensation that we'll have from what's going on around you and blah, blah, blah. Okay, any other questions? All right, John, I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
sure.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it.